Think and Grow Rich. For those of you who are suspicious about the title of the book itself, let me narrate to you the story of Edwin C. Barnes. Several years ago, Edwin C. Barnes discovered how true it is that men really do think and grow rich. His discovery did not come at one sitting. It came little by little, beginning with a burning desire to become a business associate of the great inventor, Thomas Edison. When this desire or impulse of thought was flashed into his mind, he was in no position to act upon it. There were two difficulties that stood by his way. First, he did not know Mr. Edison, and second, he did not have enough money in his pocket to pay for the railroad fare to Orange, New Jersey. These difficulties were sufficient enough to have discouraged any man from making any attempt to carry out the desire, but his was no ordinary one. He decided to travel by a goods train. He presented himself at Mr. Edison's laboratory and announced that he had come to go into business with the great inventor. In speaking of the first meeting with Barnes, Mr. Edison later said, "He stood there before me looking like an ordinary tramp, but there was something in the expression of his face, which conveyed the impression that he was determined to get what he had come for." Barnes did not get his partnership with Edison on his first interview. He did, however, get a chance to work at Mr. Edison's offices at a very nominal wage, doing work that was unimportant to Mr. Edison, but most important to Barnes. It gave him an opportunity to display his merchandise where his intended partner could see it. Months went by, and apparently nothing happened to bring the coveted goal which Barnes had set up in his mind as his definite major purpose. When the opportunity came, it appeared in a different form and from a different direction from where Barnes had expected. This is one of the tricks of opportunity. It has a sly habit of slipping in by the back door, and often it comes in disguised in a form of misfortune or temporary defeat. Perhaps this is why many fail to recognize opportunity. Mr. Edison had just perfected a new office device, known at that time as the Ediphone. His salesmen were not enthusiastic about the machine. They did not believe it could be sold without much great effort. Barnes, however, saw his opportunity. It had crawled in quietly, hidden in a queer-looking machine which interested no one but Barnes and the inventor himself. Barnes knew he could sell the Edison dictating machine or the Ediphone. He suggested this to Mr. Edison and promptly got his chance. He did sell the machine. In fact, he sold it so successfully that Edison gave him a contract to distribute and market it all over the nation. Out of that business association grew the slogan, "Made by Edison and installed by Barnes." The business alliance has been in operation for several years now. Barnes has made himself rich in money, but he has done something infinitely greater. He has proven it that one may really think and grow rich. First key takeaway: the first step towards riches. When Edwin C. Barnes climbed down from the freight train in Orange, New Jersey, more than 100 years ago, he may have resembled a tramp, but his thoughts were those of a king. As he made his way from the railroad tracks to Thomas A. Edison's office, his mind was at work. He saw himself standing in Edison's presence. He heard himself asking Mr. Edison for an opportunity to carry out one of the consuming obsession of his life, a burning desire to become the business associate of the great inventor. Barnes' desire was not a hope, it was not a wish. It was a keen, pulsating desire which transcended everything else. It was definite. The desire was not new when he approached Mr. Edison. It had been Barnes' dominating desire for a long time. He was the partner of Mr. Edison every minute of the time, from the very day that he first went to work there. Every human being who reaches the age of understanding of the purpose of money wishes for it. Wishing will not bring riches, but desiring riches with a state of mind that becomes an obsession, then planning definite ways and means to acquire riches, and backing those plans with persistence, which doesn't recognize failure, will bring riches. The method, the method by which desire for riches can be transmuted into its financial equivalent consists of six definite practical steps. Viz. First, fixing your mind. Fix your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It is not a, it is not sufficient merely to say, I want plenty of money. Be definite as to the amount. There is a psychological reason for the definiteness which will be described in the subsequent chapters. Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. There is no such thing in reality as something for nothing. Third, establish a definite date by which you intend to possess the money you desire. Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition, state what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. Sixth, read your written statement aloud, twice a day, once just before retiring at night and once after rising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. Only those who become money conscious ever accumulate great riches. Money consciousness means that the mind has become so thoroughly saturated with the desire for money that one can see oneself already in possession of it. Several years ago, one of the business associates of the author became ill. He became worse as time went on and finally was taken to the hospital for an operation. Just before he was wheeled into the operating room, the author took a look at him and wondered how anyone as thin and emaciated as he could possibly go through a major operation successfully. The doctor warned him that there was little chance of his survival, but that was the doctor's opinion. It was not the opinion of the patient. Just before he was wheeled away, he whispered feebly, "Do not be bothered, Chief, for I shall soon recover." And he did. His recovery even shocked the doctors and the nurses, but it was due to the sheer force of his burning desire to live. Now, before we proceed any further, I request you to please like, share, and subscribe my videos. And don't forget to press the bell icon. Alright, let's get straight to the next key takeaway. The emotions of faith, love, and sex are the most powerful of all the major positive emotions. When these three are blended, they have the effect of coloring the vibration of thought in such a way that it instantly reaches the subconscious mind, where it is changed into the spiritual equivalent and the only form that induces a response from the infinite intelligence. Now, the next obvious question that comes to your mind would probably be how to develop the faith. Now, before I go into that details, I wanted to share a story with you. This is the story of Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was a failure at literally everything that he tried until he was well past his age of 40. He was a Mr. Nobody from nowhere until a great experience came into his life, aroused the sleeping desire, the sleeping genius within his heart and brain, and gave the world one of his really great men. That experience was mixed with the emotions of sorrow and love. It came to him through Anne Rutledge, the only woman whom he truly loved. It is a well-known fact that the emotion of love is closely akin to the state of mind known as faith, and this for the reason that love comes very near to the translation of one's thought impulses into their spiritual equivalent. During his time, the author had conducted a research on the world's most successful and influential people on earth, and he found that behind each and every one of them there was an inspiration of a woman. Such was the power of love. Now, getting back into the question on how to develop faith. Well, one way of developing faith is to include emotions with your or feelings with your thoughts. This will help you to translate your thoughts into physical equivalents. Another method of developing faith is by using the principle of auto-suggestion. Well, that brings me around to the next key takeaway. Alright, the principle of auto-suggestion. No thought, whether it is positive or negative, can enter the subconscious mind without the aid of the principle of auto-suggestion. Nature has so built a man that he has absolute control over the material which reaches his subconscious mind through his five senses, although it doesn't mean that he always exercises this control. In the great majority of instances, he does not exercise it, which explains why so many people go through life in poverty. To begin with, first, let's say you want money. Well, first, you have to see yourself already in possession of the money. For example, suppose you intend to accumulate 50,000 by the 1st January 5 years hence. Then you intend to give personal services in return for the money in the capacity of a salesman. Then your written statement of purpose should be similar to the following. By the January 19, I'll have in my possession 50,000, and that amount will come to me from various sources from time to time. In return, I'm gonna give my best possible services. It is advised that you repeat it twice daily, in the morning and in the night. It is also advised that you keep the note at some place where you can see and access it at every point of your time. So this was the principle of auto-suggestion. Anyways, the video is getting too long, so I decided to do it into two parts. I request you to wait patiently for the second part of my video. Till then, don't forget to like, share and subscribe my videos. And guys, please, I need about 100 subscribers. That will motivate me to make more such videos. Please help me achieve 100 subscribers.